Meadowbrook Estates gives you the community of a 55 plus building without the 55 plus restriction. That combination is hard to find in Kelowna. Most buildings with this much social life are a lot older and they come with the 55 plus age restriction. Meadowbrook doesn't. You get the pool, the clubhouse, the events, the neighbors who actually know each other, and you can buy here at any age. If a great community is what you're after, but you don't want an older 55 plus building, then Meadowbrook should be on your list. If this is your first time here, I'm Mark with Remax and KelownaCondos.ca, and I specialize in condos. Meadowbrook is a building that I know pretty well. I've read the Strata documents here and I've talked to owners. This video is what I've learned from both of them. If you want the building specs, the year built, unit count, sizes, I've got those at the end. So let me start with what makes Meadowbrook worth a look, and that's the community. This is one of the few buildings in Kelowna where the social activities actually get attended. The clubhouse, it sits at the center of the development, and it's a gathering point year-round. People here know each other. I've seen people taking painting lessons there, playing bridge, you name it. If you're retired or semi-retired, and you want a place where you can have a social life without joining anything or having to drive anywhere, this is a great option. The second thing is how well it's run. This is an actively managed community, and you can tell that the moment that you drive in. The grounds are well kept, the buildings are spotless, and the financials look great. That kind of management is the difference between a building that ages well and one that doesn't. Lastly, the location is central. You're in the middle of Kelowna, which means anywhere that you need to go is a short drive or even a quick bike ride away. This kind of community, management, and location is hard to find in this price range. So let's look at the strata fees, because I think this is where Meadowbrook stands out. Strata fees here, they run about 41 cents a square foot. That means on a 1,026 square foot unit, it's going to be roughly $428 a month. On a larger 1,300 square foot unit, you're looking at about $533. Now, here's why that number stands out. Meadowbrook is a full amenity building. You have a pool, hot tub, gym, clubhouse, guest suites. Usually, these come with high strata fees, but here it doesn't. Compare it to other full amenity buildings. Centuria is at 36 cents a square foot, Park Place is at 44 cents, and InView is at 53 cents. Meadowbrook sits at 41. Below Park Place and InView, and only a few cents above Centuria, which is one of the best value buildings in the city. So if the amenities matter to you, but you're nervous about high fees, Meadowbrook is worth a look. So let's have a look at the amenities. The center of the development has a large clubhouse with a pool. The clubhouse is pretty large, and it has a pool table, a shuffleboard, and a full kitchen that the community uses for events. There's also 3 guest suites in the complex, which is more than most buildings offer. So when family visits, they have somewhere to stay, and you can book that through the building. The pool is pretty popular in the summer, but it's not too busy. I have always seen a person or two sitting around it chatting. One thing to note, there are small gyms in the buildings, but the ones that I've seen are pretty basic. So if you're an active gym goer, you're not going to be giving up your membership. So let's talk about what to watch for. First, the units on the outer edge of the development back onto Mill Creek Ravine. Now, the greenery and the privacy are a huge draw, and I haven't heard of any flooding issues. But what I have heard from an owner is that the mosquitoes, they can be an issue in the spring and early summer. So if you're looking at a ravine-facing unit, ask about it. And maybe visit the area on a summer evening before you decide, especially if mosquitoes are a problem for you. Second, Meadowbrook isn't one building, it's 4, and they weren't all built at the same time. They range from the mid-1990s to the early 2000s, and that means that every building might be a little different. An example is building 1962, which was constructed with Kitec plumbing. Now, while this type of plumbing has had known failures in some cases, the strata minutes from July 2024 note that Meadowbrook has not experienced any issues. Now, the strata has updated the plumbing in all common areas, but the plumbing within the individual units has not been updated, and that responsibility lies with the unit owners. The strata insurance company, BFL, is aware of the Kitec plumbing, and they stated that it's not an insurance issue for them since it was originally installed by the developer. Now, that's their stance today. If the insurance company changes that policy down the road, you're probably going to have to update the plumbing if you live in that building. After reading so many different strata documents, I know that other developments have done it, and the cost is anywhere between $7,500 and $12,000 per unit. Third, like a lot of buildings, the pet rules. You're allowed one dog or one cat, up to 14 inches at the shoulder. This is a small dog building, and it's well managed, so that rule gets enforced. Unless you have a service dog, there's going to be no exceptions. If you've got a large dog, this one is off your list. But I'll point you to a few buildings that'll fit in a minute. So who is Meadowbrook for? It's for the buyer who wants the community that usually comes with a 55 plus building, but doesn't want the 55 plus restriction. They get the social life, they get the neighbors without the age restriction. And it's for the buyer who wants to be central. From here, you can get almost anywhere in Kelowna in 10 to 15 minutes. Who should skip it? Well, if you don't like rules, this probably isn't your building. Now, I'm not saying it's a strata that has a ton of rules, but the ones that exist are monitored because the community cares. Now, that's a huge benefit if you've lived in a loosely run strata before, but it could be a frustration if you haven't. If you're younger and you specifically want a building with a younger demographic, the average age here runs a little bit higher. So you might want to look at the Verve instead. And if you have a large dog, Meadowbrook is out. Beverly across the street allows large dogs, and so does Hawthorne Park in South Pandosy. Hawthorne Park is 55 plus, but Beverly isn't. This just gives you a few options. So let's look at the neighborhood because it's a big reason why people move here. Meadowbrook, it sits at the base of Dilworth on the edge of Glenmore and the Springfield Spall area. You're directly across from major shopping, but here's the thing. Once you're inside the complex, you would never know it. It's tucked away and it feels isolated. Day to day, you can walk to London Drugs, save on foods, medical services, you name it. And the rail trail, it runs right behind this building. So you can be downtown or at the beach on your bike quickly without fighting traffic. Also, the new Parkinson Rec Center is going to be just a few blocks away, which will be a real upgrade for this pocket of the city. One downside is that the Springfield Spall area has been attracting more of the homeless population. So it's something you're going to see when you're outside of the community. I'm not saying it's everywhere, but because it's a more business-centered neighborhood, it's going to be there. But you would never know it inside the complex. But it is something to be aware of. You're also surrounded by some of Kelowna's main roads, so the area right around the complex can get busy. Inside it's quiet, but getting in and out during peak times can be frustrating. Now, for the spec seekers, here are the details. Meadowbrook Estates is 4 buildings on Enterprise Way. They were built over several years. Building 1966 was built in 1996. Building 1964 was built in 1997. 1960 was built in 2002, and building 1962 was built in 2003. There are 210 units in total. Almost all of them are 2 bedrooms. The sizes, they're going to run from around 900 square feet up to over 1,300. Recently, units here have been selling from about 430,000 to 550,000. The big price difference is going to depend on how renovated they are and where they're located. Parking is going to be secure and underground. If you've been looking for a well-run, well-priced condo with a great community, Meadowbrook should be on your list. The best way to know if it's right for you is to tour the buildings and look at some of the units. If you'd like help with that, reach out. You'll find all my contact details, including a link to book time in my calendar in the description below. If you want to check out all of the active listings in Meadowbrook and every other building in Kelowna, and compare them, you'll find all that information on kelownacondos.ca. I'll include the link below to the specific page for Meadowbrook Estates. If you found this video helpful at all, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I put out videos every week about the Kelowna condo and townhome market. And if you live at Meadowbrook, I'd love to hear your take. Drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.